Good morning and welcome to America's Home Cooking. Do you know what people used to have before they made coffee in the morning? They used to drink beer. That's how they started their day because the water, I guess, wasn't real good at that time or something. But anyway, they used to have beer and that's how they started their day. Have some beer, a glass of beer, and then you could start your day. Well, this guy who had goats would let his goats run in the fields, right? And at night, he couldn't get them to come in and go to sleep. I mean, they were like up, and he couldn't figure out what they were doing. So he decided to follow them one day, and he found them eating this plant. Well, he tried it. Let's say he tried it, and it kept him up. Behold, coffee was created. And people quit drinking beer for breakfast and started having coffee. Now, do you know the ratios of coffee to water? Because I know they have a lot of coffee makers now. All you do is put these packets in or throw some coffee in here. And then this. Do you know what the ratio actually is for 1 cup of coffee? Make 1 cup of coffee, just one. We had to learn all of these things. I'm sure your grandmother would know this very well. This is a tablespoon. 1 level tablespoon per cup of coffee makes, if you have a good coffee and you don't have a bitter coffee, makes a perfect cup of coffee. And the thing is not to boil your coffee. At one time, they had, oh God, what is it? I better think of the word. I can't remember the word offhand. I used to have one on my stove, and I used it to boil water. It was tall, blue and white, and you'd bring so much water to a boil, and you would know, the woman would know how much water she had there, and she would add a tablespoon for each cup. And then she would turn it off and let it sit or simmer it because it will boil over. You don't want it to boil over. And after it all settles to the bottom of the pot, you had a perfect cup of coffee. But it's not a kettle. God, I can't remember the name of it. I see it in my head, but right now the words are gone. I'm not going to be able to. I can't believe I can't remember it. So the thing is that they would tell you in the old cookbooks, don't boil the coffee. And what they would do, if they made a big pot, they would leave it on the stove, and they would only heat it up if they wanted to make coffee. And they would have that one pot throughout the whole day, but they were very careful. You know how you have these automatic ones, and the coffee sits there all day until it's empty, then they make another pot, and you notice how the coffee has a burnt taste to it? It's not supposed to have that. So the women would turn their coffee off after they had their coffee for breakfast, but if you wanted it later on, she would heat it up, but she would never bring it to a boil because she didn't want to burn it. All right? Now, something you should know about coffee. Coffee is a food. It's a good food. But they have found out that if you add anything to black coffee, be it sugar or cream or flavorings and everything, it disrupts the digestive system. It really does. So if you have it and you notice when you have coffee you feel a little bloated afterwards or something, you have to be aware of your body at this point. And you have that feeling, you can feel that it does cause a disruption. They don't care if you put sugar in it, you put creams in it, you put flavorings in it, you put half and half in it, you put heavy cream in it, you use brown sugar. Honey, whatever you do, as soon as you add it to that coffee, it becomes a poison to the digestive system. But if you have it black and plain, it's actually a food. The same thing goes when you have tea. If you go to make tea, and believe you me, it took me years to learn how to make tea. Most people take a tea bag and go zip, zip, zip. That's not how you make tea. Tea is pretty much on the same way as it comes to making coffee. You have a ratio of tea to that water, and you don't want to boil your tea. You want to steep it on a low flame after that water comes to boil, and you let it steep nice. And then you don't have that burnt taste of, or the very strong flavor of the tea. It has that nice taste that's soothing to you. But like coffee, if you add stuff to tea, it becomes a poison to your body. But if you just have plain tea, it's actually a food. So what they've stated is that they have learned certain combinations cause a disruption in the digestive system. Okay, anyway, I'm going to make a nice cup of coffee, and when it's done, I'll show you. Okay. Now, if you have a good coffee and you have it like this, you will not have that burnt or funny chemical taste in the back of your throat or when it hits your taste buds. That's how you can tell when they use, because a lot of coffee that you find that's decaffeinated, you know how they decaffeinate that coffee? The same chemicals that they clean your clothes with at the dry cleaner is the same one. If you wish and have to take decaffeinated coffee, you have to make sure that they steam it. It's going to cost you a pretty penny, but at least you've got your health in. Because tell me, would you want to eat those chemicals that they clean your clothes with at the dry cleaners? I think not. So it should have a smooth taste. I don't have coffee very often because I don't like the taste of decaffeinated coffee. So because caffeine affects me so harshly, I have it far and few and in between when I have it. And then I usually only drink a little bit of it, and that's it for me. That's how you make coffee. Okay? That's how we used to do it. Bye-bye.